What's going on, everyone? It's your boy. That sounded too gangster, but you know what's up, ladies and gentlemen. Friends of mine, you know what's going down. You know it's Thursday. If you're watching this on another day besides Thursday, you know what this means. It's Jay at the movies. It's Jay doing what Jay does best. Hell, we're just going to talk about some films today. We're not talking about just one film. We're talking about 3 films. That's a loaded deck. We're about to see how good I am at talking to 3 films. We're about to find out how good I am at multitasking. Hell, I'm even curious at how this is going to turn out. So why don't you tune in? Let's find out. Sit back, grab some popcorn, grab some snacks, eat whatever you need to eat, whether you're healthy or not, do what you gotta do, and I'll see you in a bit. Alright, I said we're talking 3 movies. I think we should get this thing rolling, right? We got 3 movies to talk about. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We got a busy day ahead of us. You got a busy day ahead of you. So let's jump right into it. First film we're talking about, 10 on 10. Is it 10 on 10 or is it 10 by 10? Let's go 10 by 10. This film is starring Luke Evans and Kelly Riley. You've probably never heard of this film, to be quite honest. It's a little independent film, low budget. I don't think it really came out in theaters. But what makes this film stand out from the rest of the films that I'm talking about tonight, and what makes this film stand out more or less from the film I spoke about last week, which was Sicario, this film is what filmmaking is about. This is quite simple. This is exactly what filmmaking is about. This is what gets me up in the morning. This is what excites me about movies. It's its simplicity. Not only is it so simple, but the whole concept of the film is done in a way where the director understood the material, took the material, and took a vision. He had a vision for what he wanted to do, and he went straight for it. He had a vision for what he hoped to accomplish, and he did exactly that. There was no interference by the studio. This was not your average studio type film. Mind you, the ending kind of does become a little convoluted and too Hollywood-esque, but the beginning of the first hour, and we'll say hour and 20 minutes, this is a real film. This is an independent film. This is different from most that you've ever seen. Until we get to the last 20 or so minutes. Now, what is 10 by 10? What is this film starring Luke Evans? Luke Evans, for those of you who may not remember him, or for those of you who are not fully aware of who he is, he was in the Fast and Furious franchise. He actually was in Fast and Furious 6, the one where they're in London. He plays Jason Statham's brother. He plays Luke Shaw, or that's something in there. He plays one of the Shaw brothers. Basically, he's the guy in the last film who ends up breaking out of the hospital, or his brother goes into the last film in the hospital and starts shooting it up. Or was that the 7th? Or 8. There's too many Fast and Furious films. So, back to 10 on 10. 10 by 10, I apologize. Luke Evans, Kelly Riley, these two, what a connection. This was such a well-acted film that from top to bottom, I could not even have anything negative to say because they played so well off one another. And not only did they play so well off one another, they had no choice but to play so well off one another. You see, for an hour and 20 minutes, this film is legitimately just them two. So what is this film? Well, the film is about a man who is stalking a female. Yes, you heard correctly. It is about a man who is stalking a female. So for those of you who are in this new generation of, I don't want to watch that. A man is stalking a female. That just sounds very stupid. I'm not tuning into that. The film starts off with, right off the bat, when the film starts off with Luke Evans sitting in the diner, reading his paper, eating breakfast, and the female walks in, Kelly Riley's character. She sits down and you see a lingering shot. Now, what is a lingering shot? A shot is where you see Luke Evans sitting in the background, reading his paper, but while he's reading his paper, he is so clear that we can see him staring at Kelly Riley's character, who happens to be sitting at the table ordering. She's ordering her food, and while she's ordering her food, you've got herself, you've got the waiter, and in the background, you have got Luke Evans' character. Now that, my friends, just that scene itself, the first 15 minutes, when you get this, just to see that, just to see the lingering, and just to see the tension building, and you notice the background. These are the kind of films where you got to pay attention to what's going on around you, your objects, your surroundings. This is the kind of film that makes filmmaking fun. It makes going to the movies fun. It just makes watching films in general something of an enjoyable pastime. So that's something that I truly loved about this film, was the fact that you got to sit there and you got to wonder, what's this guy doing? Why is he staring at her? And that's why we go to the movies. It's not because you're going to watch this film because, oh, I love stalking women, or, oh, that's disgusting. You're going to see this film because you want to understand what the reason is. What is this character's motivations? What is this female's motivations? Now, I'm going to probably spoil the film a little bit, so if you do intend to watch it, I will say spoilers when I'm going to spoil the film, so just be aware when I say spoilers. That means, well, guess what? I'm giving away an ending or something of a twist. So, how does this film break down? Well, right off the bat, this film, it's Luke Evans. He's watching this girl, he's watching her eat, etc. He watches her go about her day, basically. She goes to the gym, she goes to yoga, he's sitting in the car waiting, he's eating a bagel, he's reading a paper, he sees her come out of the gym, he gets ready with his masking tape and etc. He buys accessories because he intends to kidnap her. So now we've gone from stalking to kidnapping. Now this is a first-class felony. He should be in prison. No one's arguing this fact. So after her yoga session is done, she heads back to the car and is at this moment where she is taken. Not Liam Neeson style, but she is taken Luke Evans style. He takes her to the ground, they have a little struggle, he holds a gun to her head, etc., etc. He gets her in the car and drives her to his home, where he has built a safe room, a kidnap room. He's basically built a room where you can't hear her screaming. You basically don't know where she is because he's built a second wall to cover the fact that there is now a door heading somewhere. Look, it's not complicated. I made it seem more complicated than this. He's basically got a safe room for her. No one could get in it unless you know where it is. Plain and simple. That's it. She's hidden in this room, left with no food, no explanation. The audience has given no explanation. Luke Evans doesn't give anybody any explanation outside of the fact that he tends to go to the television to re-watch old news footage about... Now, pay attention. He goes, and I say pay attention because if you do watch this film, pay attention. He goes to re-watch footage about a gas leak or something that occurred in a hospital where there were multiple fatalities. People were found dead, and the results are inconclusive as to what occurred. Why is he watching this while he's kidnapped a girl? Well, this all ties in somehow. Ding, 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 ding. It all ties in somehow. So how does this tie in? Well, spoilers. She turns out to have been one of the doctors that was dealing with his wife. His wife was going through something, which I believe was cancer at the time. She was going through a disease and she was going through the treatment with Kelly Riley's character, who was playing the role of the doctor. Now, during this point, they became attached and they started to speak to one another. Plain and simple, Kelly Riley's character is the kind of character that is a very religious individual and believes in honesty, truth, and being a faithful wife or husband. Break any of those vows, break any of those commandments, and she basically will kill you. That's it. That's as simple as that. That's as simple as I could put it. She will basically kill you. So you see how she went from a sympathetic character who was being stalked to kidnapped to suddenly a pure, violent, and malicious individual. See how that had balanced out? You went from judging me because I said this was a film about stalking to now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that motherfucker is crazy. Yes. So what she does, she gets to know you, and in the case of Luke Evans' character, it was revealed that his wife was actually cheating on him. She was cheating on with another man, and all the information was told to Kelly Riley's character while they were in the hospital together and she was getting the treatments. Kelly Riley's character decided to take it upon herself to poison Luke Evans' wife and basically put her out of her misery because she doesn't deserve to live since she's not a faithful wife. Now once all this is revealed, now Luke Evans has gotten the answers that he wanted because he from the start believed that she had something to do with the death of his wife because it didn't make sense how a healthy woman could suddenly just die. So, what makes this film so different from everything else? Because what I just told you sounds very simple. What I just told you pretty much sounds like any other film that you could watch on any given basis with bigger name actors and a higher budget. But see, that's where the problem is. You could watch this film with bigger name actors and a higher budget, and you won't get the same feeling you get as you come out of watching this film. What do I mean by that? The stalking, the kidnapping, the way this film is shot, where it takes its time and it builds. Same thing like I said with Sicario, where it builds to the moment that the event or the action occurs. It builds where you feel wrong. It just feels like this is not something you should be a part of or you should be watching. And that is the exact feeling I want to get when it comes to watching these types of movies. I don't want to watch a kind of film, in the example of Taken, where there is no real build-up and it's just suddenly, boom, she's taken, and now Liam Neeson's going out there and he's killing some bad guys. That's not what I want right off the bat. I want to feel it. I want to know why. I want to be kept hidden in the dark, and this film just does just that. It keeps you questioning, and it keeps you wondering, and it keeps you trying to figure out the mystery as to what is going on. See, it is the phenomenal directing of Susie Ewig that makes this such a great film. In some cases, it's almost like it took a female to take something so drastic and so malicious with intent and to make it so beautiful in a way where you're sitting there, and as much as it feels wrong, you're also pretty much, you're engulfed. You're into this, and you want to know more, and you want to get to the end of the film. You don't just want to get to the action sequences. You don't want to skip all of this. You want to know more, and Susie's directing ability, honestly, I hope to see more films from her. I don't know if she's in the process of producing anything. Her IMDb page says she has a film called Going Postal that is coming out. She doesn't have any pictures, so this was probably her first attempt at making a big budget film that was like Hollywood-esque in a way. If honestly, I don't want to really be, I guess I might as well give this film a rating. If I'm going to have to rate this film, to be quite honest, I'm going to give this straight up a 7.5 on 10. This is 7.5 on 10. This is worth your time. This is worth checking out. This is simply worth checking out because of its directing style, because of the way the film is shot, because of the cinematography, because of the music and the way that you're listening to the sound, and the sound is leading the actions, the sound is leading the discussions, the sound is leading a lot as to what's going on, because like I said, there's not much backstory that's told to you right off the bat. It is slowly presented to you as the film progresses. So that's what makes this such an incredible film. It's films that love to play mysteries with you. It's kind of like playing Clue, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Why did he kidnap her? And once you find out, you're kind of like, that guy had a pretty good point. She shouldn't have been the one to judge whether or not his wife should have died. Even though, scumbag move on the wife's part for cheating him. Not something we agree on. Hell, the whole film has a lot of subjects that we don't agree on. Kidnapping, stalking, cheating, murder. Murder's one of them. We don't agree on that. But there's a lot of moving parts in this film, and not only is it a lot of moving parts, but it is a lot of moving parts that fits together correctly. Sicario, you should have taken some notes. So that's what I love about this film. So that's what I love about this film. It's so simple, but it was done with great vision and great intent and a great masterful storytelling by a new director, Susie Ewig. My hat's off to you. Incredible film. I can't wait to see more of your work. But with that said, and with that being almost wrapped up, because you see I didn't give away too much of what goes on in the film. I didn't tell you really every single action of every single sequence, of every single scene like I did with Sicario. I just wanted to bring down the nitty-gritty of what makes this film tick. It's its beautiful cinematography, it's the beautiful angles of camera, it's the beautiful directing style, it's the lingering shots, it's the mystery, it's what makes cinema so great. Now, I want to talk about a film that not only makes cinema great, we're switching gears right off the bat. We're going straight to action, and not just your typical nonsense action from America. I'm talking straight action to the point that I will say it right here, right now, that this is the great... Let me get my words correctly. This is the greatest action film of 2018. 2018, and we have had Avengers, we have had a dozen of DC films, Marvel films, we have had multiple action films come out, from Mission Impossible to the new Fantastic Beast that's coming out, to much more coming out later, but this film stands out from the rest. Now what is this film?